It was one of those cloudy, rainy days. I was actually kind of glad for that. I hated the sun. Indoors is more of my thing. Anyways, before I accidentally get off the subject, my dad was going for this indoor volleyball thing. I didn't really pay attention to the details as I don't care much for sports. I asked if I could stay in the car and he said that was fine. As soon as he left, I locked the car as I'm very paranoid. Then I tuned in the radio to my favourite radio station and turned up the volume as loud as I could without busting my eardrums. Now that I had felt comfortable, I pulled out my Game Boy, which I had brought with me, and inside it was fire red. I turned the volume on my Game Boy down as I wanted to listen to the radio while I played the game. It had been a while since I'd last played the game. When my save file loaded, I found myself to be standing on the Treasure Beach, that island below one island. I opened the menu and clicked on my Pokemon to find my normal party, except for a Dratini that I didn't normally use that had an XP share on. I wondered why I was training that Dratini the last time I played. Shrugging it off, I exited the menu and flew back to the Pokemon Center at one island. I went to the PC and reveled in the memories that all my Pokemon I'd caught there brought back to me. After looking through all the boxes, I got bored. I didn't really know what to do. Then I got an idea. I was going to stop being lazy and level up my team so I could finally beat the Elite Four. I never really found any good training places in the game, as to why I never beat the Elite Four. But I had nothing else to do, so I thought I might as well train them up. I took the XP share away from the Dratini and placed it in my box that I had full of Dratinis. This left me with my 5 main party Pokemon: Spark the Zapdos, Flame the Charizard, Machoke, Pidgeotto and Golduck. My last 3 didn't have nicknames. I thought of finding a different and better water Pokemon to replace my Golduck. I didn't really like his moveset, and just him in general, he wasn't really special to me. The main reason I had him was so that I could have a Pokemon that knew Surf. After a bit of thinking, I decided I would just keep him because I didn't feel like training another Pokemon up to his level of 51. Then I realised I should probably find a 6th Pokemon, since I had a space for one more. I was eager to start training though, so I thought I'd find another Pokemon later. I saved, left the Pokemon Center and surfed back to Treasure Beach. I gave the XP share to Machoke, as he was the current weakest. With Spark in front of my party, I started training. The wild Pokemon were in the levels of around late 30s to early 40s. They were very easy to beat though, as most of the Pokemon I fought, Spark had a move that was super effective against them. While battling, I sang along loudly with the songs that played on the radio. After 30 minutes, Spark and Machoke had gone up quite a few levels. I saved the game and continued training. During one of the battles, I randomly started thinking about shiny Pokemon, and how someone I knew on the internet had said you make sure to always have Pokeballs with you in case one showed up, and how pretty they looked. After the battle, I checked to see if I had any Pokeballs. I found to have a ton of Ultra Balls. I felt satisfied and continued training, although I knew the chances of me finding a shiny then and there were very slim. After beating a couple of Tangler and trashing Meowth, I ran into a male Persian. I practically screamed when I saw stars fly around it. I kept yelling, "Oh my god, holy crap!" And then like for the first few minutes while staring at the screen in shock. I couldn't believe I actually found a shiny. This was my first though. I had run into a shiny Snova, but I accidentally fainted it as I didn't know what a shiny was back then. And I'd caught my own shiny Flygon with some help from my little sister. This still was a very exciting moment for me, as it would have been to any of you. I loudly cursed profanity as I remembered my entire team was made up of higher leveled powerhouses. A sense of hopelessness washed over me as I searched for my Pokemon summaries to see if any of them had any weak moves, which none of them possessed. A little hope sparked in me as I checked Golduck's summary. He was the weakest in my party then. He had the move Rock Smash, which despite being a fighting move that was super effective to normals, it didn't do much damage. He was my only hope, so I switched him out with Spark. The shiny Persian attacked with Payday, which didn't bring forth much damage to Golduck. After its turn was over, I chose my Pokemon to use Rock Smash. Thankfully, it only took about a quarter of the Persian's HP. After it attacked me again with another Payday, I decided one more Rock Smash would be good. I hit it with Rock Smash again. It was a critical hit. I screamed in rage as the shiny Persian fainted. I kept throwing profanity at Golduck despite knowing it wouldn't accomplish anything. After many moments, I finally cooled down. I decided I would just put it all behind me and forget it ever happened. I thought Spark was trained enough, so I switched out with Pidgeotto and started leveling him up. After about 15 minutes of battling, I started to get cheery again. I sang along with some of the radio songs again to boost my spirits. After a while, I thought Pidgeotto had enough training, so I checked my Pokemon to see which one I would train next. Spark had enough training. Flame was already an incredibly high level. Machoke had enough training since he held the XP share the whole time. Pidgeotto was done, so all that was left was Golduck. I still personally blamed him a little for making the shiny Persian faint, even though it was a game that decided when critical hits happened. But I switched him out for a Pidgeot and started training him anyways. I didn't train him for long though. He kept missing too often, and when he actually did hit the Pokemon, it didn't do too much damage. I kept training him hoping this would eventually stop, but it didn't. "Useless piece of crap," I muttered as he missed hitting a Meowth. Just then though, something very odd happened. The radio started to static. It would cut off and come back on, have static, then go off again and come back on. It kept doing that for a solid minute until it finally just shut off. I sat in my seat and whimpered like a dog. At the time I had recently been watching one too many scary videos, and the fact that it had become foggy outside didn't help either. I decided I would turn up the volume on my Game Boy to drive the silence away. The music emitted from the Game Boy sounded reassuring, and I tried to push what just happened to the back of my mind. I walked a bit in the grass and a wild Tangler appeared. During the battle, there was no music. Sound effects still played though. My Golduck was acting strange. Whenever he missed, the animation would play for him like when your Pokemon gets hit with Astonish. Golduck was missing too often, so I switched him out with Flare and ended the battle quickly. The next Pokemon we ran into was a wild Persian. I half hoped it would turn out to be shiny, but of course it didn't. There was still no music and the sound effects still played. When I selected Golduck to attack though, he refused to. This text would appear. "Golduck is too ashamed to attack." I was getting very worried at this point. This definitely wasn't normal, and I had no idea what to do. Once the text box went away, the Persian attacked with Payday. Golduck surprisingly went down with that one hit. I brought Flare out afterwards, who beat the Persian in one turn. After the battle, I checked Golduck's summary. Everything was still the same, except for his nature, which had changed. Instead of adamant like it used to be, was now ashamed. I was scared to say the least, as I'd never before encountered anything like this in one of my games before. I exited from the menu and walked in the grass, Flare now in the front. I jumped when the radio suddenly came back on. After taking a moment to recover, I started to feel relieved. I then assumed the whole mess must have to do with Golduck. I decided I would just not use him for a while and hope things would eventually get back to normal. I flew back to the Pokemon Center on one island and healed my Pokemon, saved and went to the PC. I decided I would use my Hypno as my 6th Pokemon. He was already a decent level, he only needed a little training to be in range from my other team Pokemon. I put Golduck in the PC and hoped when I was done training Hypno that he would be better. It didn't take long at all for Hypno to be in the same level range as the other Pokemon. Once I was done training him, I flew back to the Pokemon Center and saved. Then I got my Golduck out of the PC, fed him a couple of rare candies. I really wanted to go ahead and beat the Elite Four then, and I didn't feel like training any other water Pokemon to replace Golduck. I just had to hope things were back to normal with him. I flew to the Indigo Plateau, bought a ton of items and went to challenge the Elite Four. They were surprisingly easy and I practically flew through them. But the battle against my rival was a different matter. It was a very tough fight, and eventually it was down to his Arcanine and my Golduck. They were both down to little HP. This was it. I just couldn't fail now. I ordered my Golduck to use Surf. With his Quick Claw, he was able to go first. The Surf animation started to play and my heart started frantically beating, but in the middle of the animation the giant tidal wave stopped and disappeared. Golduck can't concentrate. Surf failed. What? I screamed at my Game Boy as Arcanine finished off Golduck with Bite. I started yelling at my Golduck for failing me on a critical moment yet again. It was partly my fault, as I should have known better than to use Golduck in the Elite Four when it had been messing up, but I didn't care. The game then returned me to the Pokemon Center that was right before the Elite Four. I thought about turning off the game, but my Pokemon would level up a lot during the battles, so I decided to save it instead. Then I went immediately to my PC and put Golduck in it, but the game wouldn't let me. Golduck is sorry and won't mess up again. That message appeared every time I tried to put him in my PC. Screw this, I angrily muttered to myself as I clicked Golduck and select release. Thankfully, to me at least, he left without complaint. After a couple of minutes, I thought that I might have been a rash decision. Before I knew it, I had turned the game off and back on. I hadn't saved when I released my Golduck. I wanted him back to give him one more chance. When the game finished loading up though, Golduck still wasn't in my party. Regret quickly washed over me, and I felt awful letting him go like that. I told myself that there was nothing I could have done to fix him, but I didn't fully believe it. Remorseful, I went to the PC to pick out another water Pokemon to replace my lost Golduck. I pretty quickly decided I would use my female Dragonair named Silver, as I greatly loved the Pokemon's design. I decided I would just forget the whole Golduck event ever happened, and that he ever existed, just as I had with the shiny Persian, which then I cursed myself for remembering. I flew to Vermilion City and sailed out to one island. As soon as I landed on the island, I surfed down to Treasure Beach to train Silver. I didn't get a chance to train her though, as when I walked further down the beach, I found a Golduck sitting in the middle of the grass, its back facing towards the screen. Getting a bit scared, I walked forward and talked to it. Golduck is dreaming. As soon as that text disappeared, a battle started. The background was different hues of purple and looked sort of misty. There was also no music, but sound effects played. A male shiny Persian appeared, but it seemed lighter than normal, kinda like a ghost. Golduck came out of the side of the screen where I should have been, but I couldn't control him. Golduck went first and used Rock Smash, which took out a quarter of the Persian's HP. The opposing feline used Payday, which didn't do much damage to Golduck. The blue duck then used Rock Smash again, which was a critical hit that knocked out all the shiny's HP. But instead of fainting, the Persian remained. It used Payday and knocked a little of Golduck's HP down. Golduck would attack, but each time he missed. The shiny had eventually had the blue duck's HP down to a sliver. Golduck used Surf, and it actually worked, but the animation cut halfway across the screen, and the shiny Persian took no damage. Instead of using Payday to finish him off like it had been using before, it attacked with Bite. Golduck fainted, and the battle ended. Once everything faded back to Treasure Beach, a text box appeared. Golduck jumped and woke up. Then an exclamation point popped up above Golduck's head, along with more lines of text. Golduck is shocked to see you. Then Golduck's sprite started shivering with more text. Golduck is ashamed. Then another battle started. The background looked the same as the normal fight on Treasure Beach, green and blue. When Golduck appeared, his sprite looked different. There were streaks under his eyes where it looked like he'd been crying. His eyes looked slightly red and swollen too. When my trainer came out, she stayed there instead of throwing out any Pokemon. The battle went on without me choosing anything. Golduck used Quick Claw. I wonder how he could use Quick Claw in a battle like that. But before I could think too much about the matter, I found out. Golduck's sprite shivered and his sprite changed. A Quick Claw appeared and stabbed into his stomach with crimson blood surrounding it. His HP dropped to 0 and he fainted. The battle didn't end though. A male shiny Persian appeared on the other side of the screen, except it was lighter than normal, just like in Golduck's dream. It let out its battle cry and then faded from the screen. The battle ended. Once the game had faded back to Treasure Beach, Golduck was gone. I stared at the screen, my hand shaking a bit. I let out a slight scream as I heard a knocking on the car's door. Relief washed over me as I saw it was just my dad, locked outside of the car. I unlocked the car and he came in and told me that the game took a little longer than he thought it was going to take, and he was sorry. I said it was alright and I didn't mind. He started up the car and we left. When I looked at the radio's clock, it said 6:58. I'd started playing my Game Boy around 3:40. All of what happened in Fire Red had only taken 3 hours. I sighed and continued playing my game. Nothing else strange happened the rest of the night, or the day. Eventually I beat the Elite Four with my team, but the victory felt hollow without Golduck. After I'd beaten the Elite Four, I felt so awful for getting rid of Golduck that I decided I would catch a male Psyduck and raise it to be a Golduck, and teach it the same moves as my old one. It wouldn't be the exact same as my old Pokemon, but it was the closest I could get to having him back. So I did just that. The Psyduck I caught had an adamant nature to boot, just like the old. Sometime during training my new Golduck, I went back to Treasure Beach. Everything went normal until he hit level 51. Right after he leveled up, we ran into a wild male shiny Persian. I knew this was too much just to be a coincidence, but I didn't really care at this point. I still wanted that shiny Pokemon. I used Rock Smash on it, which took away a quarter of its health, and it attacked me with Payday. Golduck hit again with Rock Smash. It was a critical hit.